sports office today, and we're talking prep sports. That means we have Cal Henderson from New Mexico Preps.com here, and Erik G from the Sports Animal 610 KNML, the Sports Animal, and of course Devin Armijo's always here. You all remember him? Yeah.
I do all of Ann's work.
yeah, he's lying again. Well, anyway, football's getting ready to kick off, and Pugs is behind the camera. He just said that's Bryant, so everybody wants in on it. But anyway, we're getting ready to kick off the football season in high school football, and right away, if you guys are looking at, like, let's say 5A, who are you looking at right away? Who are you saying that's going to come out of that pile?
Well, you know, I've been around the state. I've been doing my travels. I've been to probably 15 different high schools so far doing my preseason football tour, and I've stopped in Las Cruces. I just got back from Artesia.
Yeah.
Done a bunch in the metro, and I think right away you have to put LaQueva on top. I mean, they have the one player that nobody else does. That's Ronnie Daniels. His backup is Stan Sedberry. You know, their linemen are back. Charlie Casey, Lucas Cartwright.
They're loaded.
They're at the top. You know, ranked number 100 in the Rivals Top 100. I think if anyone's going to give them a run, it's got to be the usual suspects.
Yeah.
Las Cruces, Mayfield, Clovis. I'm going over to Clovis today. Mayfield, 2 Division I prospects.
Yeah.
Matt Ramondo at 6'5", 310 pounds, committed to Arizona State. You have Brennan Benincourt, who's a commit to New Mexico State. So, you know, usual suspects, and I think if anyone's going to give LaQueva a true run this year, I think you've got to go with the Mayfield Trojans.
Well, I like that. I think you could kind of think of Las Cruces, too. You know, Las Cruces, they're weird, Las Cruces High, as far as, it's like they'll have that big year, and then 2 years they won't, and then they'll have that big year again, and they're almost due.
Yeah, you know, and they have some big-time players coming back. You look at their quarterback, Jeremy Burma, he's a returning starter. You have Xavier Hall, who's a brother to James Hall, who won that 2009 state title when they went 13-0. So, you know, historically, whenever Las Cruces has a returning quarterback and a returning running back, you know, Coach Miller does some good things.
Exactly.
I went down there and I checked him out, and all the hype, you know, generally goes on Mayfield in that town.
Yeah, but
Las Cruces, they're like those overachievers, you know, they're down there on that south side of town, and, you know, they have a chip on their shoulder, and you're right, you know, if any of those usual suspects are going to play dark horse, I wouldn't bet on, you know, wouldn't bet past Las Cruces. I mean, they're nasty.
I think G and Devin went to sleep on this.
I'm just shocked. I'm waiting for someone from District 25A other than LaQueva to show up. I mean, you've got El Dorado, Sandia, and Monzano.
That district is rough.
That district, okay, I went to all teams in that district, and they said that everybody thinks that that's the toughest district in the state.
I like Sandia this year.
I did that. They're going to surprise a lot of people with their intensity.
There's more talent on there than people give them credit for. Not quite a talent like Ronnie Daniels has, but they're talented enough that they can compete in that district and possibly make the playoffs. The problem is LaQueva does have Ronnie Daniels. What I'm interested to see out of this kid is, now that he's committed to Texas Tech, now that he's got the scholarship in hand, does he lose a little bit of the edge, or does he pick up the intensity, maybe looking for an offer from a little bit better school than Texas Tech? That's the thing I'm most interested in seeing out of him, because what else does he have left to prove? He won a state championship, but is that the ultimate goal for him this year?
Yeah, but when you look at Ronnie Daniels, you have to think that, is he durable enough to stay healthy the entire season? I don't think a lot of people remember that they sat him out a couple games last year. They towed his workload back.
But he was overworked.
He was overworked a little bit too much.
He was overworked.
If they have to rely on Ronnie Daniels every single game to go for 200 yards, to go for 250, I don't think they get past. I don't think they get past that district, because you get into district play and you start off with Sandia, then El Dorado, then Monzano. You think you can get through 3 games running Ronnie Daniels 30 to 35 plays a game? I don't think. No, I think somebody else has to step up.
Wear and tear. You know, talking about those teams, as far as you guys are talking about LaQueva, everybody always forgets about Monzano, and you know, this is a point me and you were talking about, how it seems like Coach Ocampo have them playing that Rocky Long type of ball, like we're gonna just smack you in your face and see how you do with that.
Kevin Reeves is pound for pound the toughest wide receiver that I've seen in New Mexico.
Like a tight end.
Okay, he's smaller than me, but he's like 7 of me combined. Like, this guy is tough, has great hands, and he ripped, I don't think people remember, he ripped up Artesia last year. He ripped up LaQueva twice.
Yeah, in addition to Kevin Reeves, you got to think that on the other side you have Josh Bowen. He's another receiver that people haven't highlighted that much, but he had 450 yards last season. Their quarterback that'll take over for Tyler Kruger is Ryan Trujillo. Athletic quarterback. He'll probably pick up right where Tyler Kruger left off last season. But the big thing about Manzano is they lose 10 defensive starters.
That's true.
Their lone returner is Justin Snow, who's only going to be a junior this year. They had 2 defensive backs last year that had 10 interceptions apiece, Jason Serta and Darrell McLeod. Getting back to what Erik was saying about Sandia, he's right. Jordan Ratliff. We all remember his dad.
Sheree Ratliff's son, yeah.
From a long time ago. So they have that wild bull package. They got James Moorhead in the backfield, Carlos Mora, their lineman this year, Will Crater, Tyler Slade. I mean, that district is definitely legit. And one thing that people don't know about La Cueva is that, definitely like Devin said, they can't always hand the rock to Ronnie Daniels 35 times a game like they did in that state. Stan Sedbury came out to my Elite 100 Combine, had the best numbers overall. The number 2 running back is the second best athlete in the state.
But Sedbury doesn't have the best hands, though. Last year he came in to try to spell Ronnie Daniels and put the ball on the ground a few times.
Yeah, but
that's the reason they tried to spell Daniels last year with Sedbury in the games, and it didn't exactly go out in their favor.
But he's had a year to work on that. So I mean, off-season work
Tiki
and stuff
Barber
like
had
that.
a career to do it.
That's me. Tiki Barber obviously fumbled in other areas, but we won't go there. But he's had a whole off-season to work on that, and that might make a difference for him. We talk about some of the top players. When you talk about that, and some players that are on teams that may not make it even to the postseason, and I think about I wonder how. Well, Rio Grande, the Ravens might get to the postseason. Who knows? But for every year, Coach Gutierrez, what he gets out of those guys. I mean, he's got 35 guys in this program, and they're competing. That's insane, man. These other teams have 100 players. I mean, if you're going to give out the All Tough Award, I think we give that out right now to the Rio Grande.
That's not that unusual in high school sports, and I've seen that happen in the Dallas area back when Joe Allen coached at North Garland.
Town it is. Look at all the other programs around here, and look. Do you know anybody with numbers as low as Rio Grande? They're 5A.
Okay, 5A.
And 5A. That's all I'm saying. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
But sometimes it's not the numbers; it's just how bad do these kids want it, and how.
They show that.
And you mentioned Rocky Long. Rocky Long always had that talent with the New Mexico squads to working them up as what he called to a razor's edge. He got those kids to believe that they could go out every single week and beat anybody that they were on the field with. They come out with that underdog attitude. If you could do that with a school like Rio Grande, it's not that uncommon for a school with that only has 35 kids out to go and surprise a few kids. That doesn't shock me at all to see them be competitive, because if you believe, ultimately that's the thing. And all too often in high school, kids between the ages of 15 and 18 don't have a very tough mentality. They either walk in thinking they've already won, or they walk in already thinking they lost. And have a team like Rio Grande around here is actually quite a breath of fresh air.
But I'll do you 11 players fewer than Rio Grande, who's a really tough team. A lot of people forget what Kevin Carroll and Academy are doing with the players that they have. And remember, they jumped out to a 6-0 start last year. They're in the postseason. I mean, these guys they don't even have enough players to field a team, it looks like. And yet they're constantly innovating with great, they had an offense called the spinner offense last year where Kevin Klosh just twirled around and threw in the end zone.
But you know what? They did get off to a great start, but, let's not leave out the South. And that's what happened to them. Lovington said, hey, man, wake up. Let's sign the ball. Let's see what you all got. That's what happened.
And you're right. I just got back from my Southern tour and I saw Lovington, and it's the same kids coming back from last season.
They're gonna be
and why
tough,
Devin brings up a good point. Academy, they have those jerseys. They don't even have decals. The jerseys are old. But Coach Carroll, he does a great job.
He knows what he's doing. He does a great job.
Yeah, they lose Kevin Kloss, but they return Brandon Branch. Brandon Branch is a big time player, brother to Alan Branch.
Yeah.
But Lovington, you talk about the South, and this is the thing that sets Lovington apart. On their schedule for 3A, they play Goddard, Artesia, and they end the year with Goddard. They play Artesia, and then they play Hobbs mid-season.
Yeah.
You're not going to see Academy, St. Mike's, or Raton playing any of those teams, and that's what's going to separate Lovington towards the end of the season.
Right, and it always does, because when you talk about Southeastern New Mexico football, you're talking about basically Texas football. Let's just be frank about that. I'm not trying to be elitist or sound like that, but it's the truth. It's Texas football. You're an Oklahoma guy. that is you know that's true, Eric.
Yes, that's very true. It's just a completely different mentality that needs to be adopted here in the metro area. There needs to be middle school football here. Yaffle doesn't need to be feeding into the high schools. Yaffle needs to be up to a certain point. Then you need junior high coaches who are teaching these kids the system that they're going to run at whatever respective high school that they're going to go to. And that's where this area misses out. That's where they miss out producing as many D1 prospects as they could, and more importantly, it's just building that camaraderie from junior high all the way through high school and having these kids have that consistency in the offense they're going to run. Too much emphasis put on Yaffle in this town.
You brought up Goddard. Jernigan just makes that, they're just a machine every year, man. They just come out and get it done, man. Pound, pound, pound.
You talk about overachievers. I mean, you know, Artesia is always the team or the program where we're going to see some high-profile athletes. You know, a couple years ago it was Landry Jones. This year it was beat Josh Hotling. You remember his brother played at, or his uncle, I think, played at UNM, and I think another brother played at New Mexico State. This year he's the big-time quarterback. But going to Goddard, I mean, you're never going to hear these high-profile athletes. I mean, obviously they had David Vega, you know, last season who did work in the North-South game. Good, but it's always just these underachieving guys, and I think, you know, Jernigan, you know, he likes that. You know, he likes to stay under the radar, and then boom, the end of the season, it's like Goddard is beating Volcano Vista 52-16. You're like, really? But, you know, it's Southeastern football, and when you have Artesia with 27 state titles, you have Lovington with 16, Goddard has won the last 2, Artesia won the last 2 before that. It's like, you know, big time football.
It's title time.
But don't count out Belen, though.
No. You can't count. Lerman has done a great job with the Eagles. Let's face it. They got to the final last year.
They got to the title game last year, and I think they're going to be a regular in that top 4 in the 4.
All their guys are back.
All their guys are back. They had, and you know, they were close last year. I think a lot of us discounted Goddard because of how Goddard started the season. 0-2 versus what they started out with EP Americas or something like that.
But in those games, Goddard was losing like on a last-second field goal or something like that. So Goddard should have been undefeated when they started the New Mexico part of the season.
That's why people didn't see him as Belen just.
But we knew.
Remember, we kept putting him in the poll
saying like, "Hey man, don't sleep on Goddard."
Yeah.
So we had him in our football poll. Hey guys, I know everybody's got stuff to do, so you all cut out. And speaking of football, we're gonna have a Friday night football show, New Mexico Football Friday, on Casa Fox 2, starting on the 20th. It's going to be a preview show, and then we're going to have the following week the highlights because the game starts. So I'm sure you guys will be asked to come and contribute something during the week or talk about football again. So thanks a lot for coming, and we're out.